Yeah? What's that?
You get...
In my own skin.
It's against Russia.
How about the arrivals lists in Moscow are capable of building? By now, you mean wait until...
Yeah, amongst my kind, no, stop. You talking about one who's ever even heard the name?
Dog walks with a limp, can barely see. Until Earth is ours.
In my 6 steps.
To call it another time. I'm late for an appointment.
Agent Keller, anything in our file gets 2. So, how about dirty? Nobody gets 2. Come on. What I wanted.
Mum doesn't know what...
Just give me the ball, please. Protect you.
You can't pretend.
Бери сколько хочешь.
И пиво, миллиардина. How?
You tell the truth during our chess game.
And,
See, that's your lack of contact over the past few... You were never the same.
good work.
I bet...
The contrary. Thanks to you.
Τι βαρούνται. A risk
You have one chance to say.
for tomorrow. You... Most of their identities are...
I got. Bill!
The woman questions him in the car. Beto is his name. He is unable to recall when he last had food. She pulls a blue fruit out of her car's glove box, a scroll creation. In New Scrollos, they cultivate only scroll crops and consume only scroll wines. She assures him that the risks he took to get there were worthwhile. The lady leads Beto farther within the institution. She is Gia, Tala's daughter. They pass a lot of scroll, including kids who are playing. She informs him that they currently number 500. She says no when Beto asks whether he has to be a part of the resistance. Those who choose to avoid conflict remain within the facility. However, fighters are paid by Gravik, are allowed to depart, and maintain their human bodies to make them more difficult to find. When they eventually arrive at a locked door, Gia urges Beto to wait. What's behind the door, he wonders. Win, she informs him. There is a huge line of people tied to equipment outside the entrance. A recruit warrior is kneeling, while a group of Skrulls are waiting nearby. Following his repeated declaration of his desires, home in my own skin, the Skrull is shown to be a member of the terrorist organization Americans Against Russia. He turns to take the man's face. Subsequently, the terrorist is restrained by forcefully strapping him to a machine, and the Skrull steals his consciousness. Thanks to the spy technology Fury put in Sonya's office, Fury, Talos, and Hill are back in the safe house watching a projection of a conversation she is having. She is certain that Fury would not have made a comeback if the Skrull danger was not serious. She thinks that the bomb the rebels are going to use can only be made by a small group of individuals in Moscow. Vasily Poprishchin, a former Chechen rebel, is her pick. He owns a Moscow gallery. There's an argument between Talos, Hill, and Fury over going to the gallery and rendering Sonya's agents helpless. Talos worries about doing damage to Sonya's family. Ultimately, Fury prevails. He claims that Gravik believes mercy to be their weakness. It's time for Talos to disprove him. Gia observes a meeting between Gravik and Pagan in a cafe. The man tells him that Fury is in town, but even though he's hobbling and washed up, they don't think he poses a threat. Gravik promises they will leave tomorrow and not return until they have taken control of Earth. As they leave the cafe, Pagan calls for Gia. He gives her a bundle of cash and guides her to a car. She is to deliver it to Poprishchin at the specified place, carry the luggage he hands her to the safe house in Moscow. Gia obeys silently. Gia spots two MI6 operatives outside Poprishchin's gallery. Fury checks in with Talos, who is posing as an MI6 agent, as she slides inside to avoid being discovered. After neutralizing the other, he assures Fury that all is well. Gia approaches Poprishchin with the money inside the gallery. Fury and Talos come around the back of the gallery as she makes her getaway with the goods he gave her. Poprishchin wonders what their desires are. Some really good responses, replies Fury. Meanwhile, Hill gets out of the SUV outside. She informs Fury that she is strolling by on foot after spotting someone of interest. Poprishchin returns to the gallery and continues to be unhelpful. Fury is enraged by his repeated falsehoods in response to their inquiries. Poprishchin identifies Talos as a Skrull when he intervenes and roughs him up a little because he is also a Skrull. Despite Talos's warning not to fire, Fury continues to fire, eventually taking down Poprishchin. Talos feels betrayed by Poprishchin's final remarks and Fury for abandoning his people. Hill is in Gaia's footsteps. Hill chases her into the underground, losing her for just long enough for Gia to get the better of her. When they fight, Gia triumphs over her. When Talos arrives to save the day, Hill directs him to pursue the fleeing Skrull. He pursues Gia, pointing his rifle in warning until he eventually stops. It's not a nice reunion between father and daughter. Talos urges her to turn over the explosive Poprishchin gave her, slowly lowering his rifle. She declines. Her mother passed away, he informs her, and her final words were, "Find Gia." Though clearly shaken, Gia is subdued by her and makes off with the explosives. When Gia comes to a secret entryway, she stops and sobs. Fury walks into a Moscow pub and goes to the rear to meet with Hill. They converse while playing chess. Hill poses frank queries about his motivations for leaving and returning to Earth. He eventually responds. There was a religious crisis he had, but it followed him. He owes Talos for that as well. He doesn't respond when Hill asks if he owes anything to anybody else. She acknowledges that she doesn't think he's ready and that she doesn't think he's the same since the blip. Before someone gets injured, he should be certain. Later on in the evening, Fury is seen by himself, reflecting on the blip while seated on a metal bed. Gia delivers the device to Gravik at his office. She informs Pagan that she was being followed, but she withholds her father's identity. He rejects her suggestion that they call off the strike. They have the bait, thanks to her. A middle-aged Russian woman later calls for a cab. Once inside, she is driven off. She transforms into Gia by the time the cab arrives in a secret alley, and Talos is the driver. Although he's glad she came to visit him, he doesn't hold back when he says that she worked for the people who killed her mother. She informs him about the attack, indicating that it will take place tomorrow, that Gravik has at least 100 operatives, and that there will be 3 couriers in addition to herself. She is clearly distraught. She'll use infrared spray to label the bags. The attack site is marked out by Talos, Hill, and Fury the next day. Thankfully, Gia has tagged the bags with infrared as promised when they finally locate her. Following the exchange, they trace the luggage and divide up to pursue the other couriers. There are many of people enjoying Unity Day in the bustling square. The girl with the ball, who Fury saw before being taken in by Sonya's goons, suddenly confronts him. She transforms many times as she takes Fury across the square. She belongs to the Skrulls. When Hill and Talos go to the messengers, they discover the bags are fictitious. Just in time to witness the Skrull's ultimate form, Gravik, Fury manages to catch up with him. Though it's too late, Fury lifts his rifle. Lifting his hand, Gravik pushes a button to set off the bomb. 3 or more explosions set the square on fire. As Fury pursues Gravik, he becomes lost in the haze. Hill is assisting those who are afraid or hurt. She approaches him after he yells at her, at least that's what Hill believes. Fury shoots her in the torso without saying a word. As the real Fury realizes he's ahead of him, he chases, but a further explosion occurs. Fury glimpses for a moment that the other person was, in fact, Gravik, but he vanishes once again into the mayhem. Hill chases after Fury, but it's too late for him to save her. He consoles her, telling her that he did not shoot her. Hands grasp Hill from behind as Fury cradles his body.